From dizzying interchanges that feel like roller coasters to expressways that seem to defy logic itself, these roads are definitely not for the faint of heart. Roundabouts within other roundabouts, tangled crossings, and corkscrewing flyovers, we have gathered it all in one video. Today, I invite you on an incredible journey. We are going to explore 15 of the most complex roads on the planet. Before we begin, I kindly ask you to subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. It will help me a lot with discovery and growth. Enjoy watching. One glance at the Nanpu Bridge interchange is enough to understand why it made this list. It is a true masterpiece of transport architecture, whose signature feature is a multi-level spiral ramp. This circular structure lets drivers rise onto the bridge smoothly and descend just as smoothly. From above, you get breathtaking views: the Bund waterfront, the Huangpu River, the Pudong Financial District, and the panorama of the entire megacity. The interchange connects central Shanghai with the city's newer business quarters and therefore plays a key role in urban life. It is rightly called an engineering marvel. Its design is that complex and well thought out. Engineers poured enormous effort into ensuring both strength and safety at such a scale. Tens of thousands of cars pass through this node every day, and despite the near-continuous flow, the interchange handles its job. Yet it still challenges drivers. The complex layout of exits and the lack of clear, intuitive signage can confuse even an experienced motorist. This interchange also carries cultural meaning. It has become a symbol of Shanghai, a city that, within just a few decades, transformed into a super-modern world-class metropolis. Tourists come to photograph the spiral roads and feel the pulse of modern China. The city of Los Angeles is immense, so it is no surprise to encounter complex transport hubs here. But if we had to choose the most striking one, the crown unquestionably goes to the interchange named after Judge Harry Pregerson. This gigantic construction is considered a genuine engineering wonder that embodies the full capabilities of modern transport infrastructure technologies. Does that sound grand? It should. The interchange serves as a key node linking several of the metropolis's most important freeways. It comprises dozens of flyovers, bridges, and lanes capable of withstanding an almost unbroken stream of vehicles. Thousands of cars move through this extraordinarily complex system every day. The interchange sits at the junction of two federal highways, Interstate 110 and Interstate 105. But along with this engineering grandeur comes a problem: navigation. Despite thoughtful road markings and a wealth of signs, drivers must give maximum attention to get through this transportation labyrinth. For tourists encountering it for the first time, the interchange can be intimidating. Locals who use it daily, however, see it as an indispensable part of Los Angeles's transport system, without which the city's traffic would simply grind to a halt. Mexico City is bright, noisy, and incredibly lively. But it also presents a trial that not every driver can handle. We are talking about the Mixcoke interchange, one of the most confusing transport nodes in the capital. This interchange is a highly complex weaving of roads on multiple levels where busy arteries converge: the Pan American Highway, Insurgents Avenue, and the Viaducto. Traffic is so dense that even seasoned motorists admit driving through it without knowing the local rules of the game is extremely difficult. The main issue is the lack of clear signage and road markings. Drivers often find themselves needing to change lanes practically blind, with no clear cues. And given that this node lies near the city's largest business and industrial districts, the intensity of traffic only increases. But there is another side. At night, Mixcoke transforms. Flyovers and ramps are illuminated with bright lights, turning the interchange into a futuristic set piece. This light show makes the transport hub a sightseeing spot that tourists love to photograph. Locals even call it Mexico City's nighttime calling card. Sometimes urban planning gives birth to harmony, and sometimes to chaos. A vivid example of the latter is Marquês de Pombal Square in Lisbon. At first glance, the place looks spectacular. Broad avenues radiate from a central circle. The statue of the legendary Marquis rises above it, and the green Parque Eduardo VII lies nearby. But for drivers, it is a real exam in attentiveness. Unlike conventional rectangular squares, this one is designed as a circle. Dozens of entries and exits, numerous pedestrian crossings, and a constant flow of buses and trams turn driving here into a tense ordeal. Motorists have to weave between cars while also watching tourists, who often pause in the road to admire the architecture. Even the name plays a trick. A square, that is, in reality, a circle only heightens disorientation. A trip through this node often leaves visitors with as many emotions as a tour of the city's famous sights. Marquès de Pombal, whose statue towers in the center, is known as a reformer, but his square has become a true challenge for drivers. The saying fits perfectly here: you cannot fit a round peg into a square hole. In Birmingham, United Kingdom, there is a transport node that has long become legendary, and perhaps not in the most pleasant sense. Spaghetti Junction, that is what people call the interchange that resembles a plate piled with tangled noodles. For decades, this transport system has stumped drivers. The web of roads, exits, and bridges is so confusing that even experienced motorists admit it is hard to pass through without stress. Interlaced levels, countless signs, and vast length create an illusion of chaos. The node connects several key highways, the M6, M5, and a 38. Owing to the plethora of possible routes, drivers often lose their bearings and make wrong turns. Limited visibility on the exits forces split-second decisions. That leads to sudden lane changes and missed ramps, a recipe for endless frustration. It is no wonder Spaghetti Junction has earned a grim reputation as the most confusing interchange in the country. It is easy to go off course here, even with the most modern GPS navigator. Authorities have attempted to improve things, updating signage, installing additional information boards. Yet despite these efforts, the architecture of the node remains so complex that traveling through it is still an ordeal. If you struggle with lane changes and precision maneuvers, Taganskaya Square in Moscow can turn into a true nightmare. Several of the capital's key transport arteries meet here: the Garden Ring, the Chaussée Enthusiastov, and Taganskaya Street itself. The result is a powerful flow that demands impeccable sense of speed and focus from drivers. But this square matters not only as a traffic node, it is part of Moscow's history. As far back as the 16th century, demonstrations, folk festivities, and major events took place here. Today, Taganka is known for its landmarks: the Taganka Theater, the Church of St. Nicholas, and a bustling market where you can find everything from antiques to old books. The square is also a major transport hub. One of the city's busiest metro stations is located here, with 3 lines intersecting. The result is constant chaos: cars, buses, pedestrians, and streams of people hurrying into the subway. For motorists, it is a test of endurance. Traffic jams are routine, and drivers must be especially vigilant to avoid tricky situations as they steer around pedestrians or weave among public transport vehicles. Taganskaya Square is a point where history, culture, and a chaotic traffic flow intertwine into a single living knot of Moscow. Philadelphia is a vibrant, lively city, but even here there is a transport node that has become a real puzzle for motorists. The Judge Lewis Nixon Memorial Interchange is known for its multi-level structure and tangled weavings of roads that keep drivers on their toes. It is a crucial point in the city's transport system. 2 major highways intersect here, Interstate 95 and Interstate 676. And although the interchange plays a critical role, drivers often complain about its complexity. Multiple lanes, sudden exits, and heavy traffic make for a stressful situation. Those encountering this stretch for the first time have it especially hard. Confusion, abrupt lane changes, and frantic attempts to orient themselves amid the chaos. Authorities have repeatedly taken steps to modernize it, improving markings, installing new signs, introducing additional navigation aids. All this has made motorists' lives somewhat easier, but it has not eliminated the problem entirely. Today, the Nixon Memorial Interchange remains one of Philadelphia's vital arteries, and it continues to test both locals and tourists. Tokyo is a city where life pulses day and night. To sustain this furious pace, the megapolis had to build a colossal transport system. Among its crown jewels is the famous cloverleaf interchange, a structure that both inspires awe and sows confusion. It connects several expressways at once and is designed to cope with the city's ever-growing number of cars. From the air, the construction is mesmerizing. Intertwined flyovers, sweeping curves, and grade-separated roads form an intricate pattern. In practice, however, driving here demands full concentration. It is easy to miss one of the many exits and forks, and a single wrong turn can turn getting back on track into a genuine brain teaser. Behind this complex facade lies an engineering revolution. The interchange employs modern technologies, intelligent traffic management systems, adaptive signals, and round-the-clock traffic monitoring. All of this aims to minimize chaos and maintain the highest possible levels of safety and flow. The city continues to develop and expand this interchange because Tokyo's traffic volumes keep growing. In the end, the cloverleaf has become a symbol of Japan's pursuit of precision, efficiency, and innovation. In the very heart of Buenos Aires sprawls the legendary Avenida 9 de Julio, one of the widest streets on the planet. But with impressive width comes exceptional complexity. The avenue exceeds 140 meters in width and carries multiple lanes in both directions. Intersections with other streets create a network of confusing junctions where a driver's attention must be razor-sharp. A trip along this boulevard is a constant battle. Traffic flows come from all sides, buses brake sharply at stops, pedestrians appear unexpectedly, and motorists must slalom among all these obstacles. Iconic landmarks add to the challenge. For example, the obelisk of Buenos Aires rising above the avenue. On the one hand, it adorns the city. On the other, it can hinder sightlines. Avenida 9 de Julio is also a key corridor for public transportation. Subway lines and bus routes run along it. Drivers must constantly watch for sudden stops or passengers stepping into the roadway right in front of them. This is why the avenue has become a true symbol of Buenos Aires. Beautiful, monumental, and at the same time, extremely difficult to navigate. Now let us move to the town of Swindon, where another road phenomenon awaits, the famous magic roundabout. Despite its name, there is little magic in it. Perhaps only the thought that someone can cross it unscathed feels miraculous. This interchange astonishes with its unconventional layout. 5 small roundabouts form a ring around a central hub. On paper, it was meant to be innovative. In practice, it became an endless riddle for drivers. From the air, it looks like a complex puzzle. 5 entries into the central area, interlaced traffic streams, intersecting trajectories, all of it confuses even the most attentive motorists. To complete this quest, you must choose the correct exit precisely and react to vehicles that seem to appear from every direction at once. Pedestrian crossings and sidewalks add to the complexity. The roundabout has become so well known that it turned into a Swindon attraction and even starred in films and TV shows. Locals like to joke, anyone who has successfully conquered the magic roundabout even once has the right to call themselves a true master driver. Another transport monster lives in Virginia. The Springfield Interchange, better known as the Mixing Bowl, earned its nickname for good reason. 3 major routes meet here: Interstate 95, Interstate 395, and Interstate 495. The result is real chaos of flyovers, crossing lanes, and confusing exits for drivers to contend with. About 430,000 vehicles pass through this node daily, making it one of the busiest in the United States. It is no surprise it is notorious for constant bottlenecks and high-stress driving. To ease the situation at least a little, a massive reconstruction project ran from 1999 to 2007. In that time, 68 new lanes were built, more than 50 bridges were upgraded, and modern traffic control systems were introduced. Among them are unique ramp signals that meter the flow of cars to avoid overloading the main freeway. Electronic message boards complement the system, providing real-time information about traffic jams, lane closures, and travel times. Virginia authorities went even further. They offer residents incentives for choosing carpools or public transportation, helping to relieve pressure on the mixing bowl. The Springfield Interchange is not just a transport node, it is a mechanism running at the limits of possibility, where engineering and human factors intertwine in a struggle with the eternal flow of cars. At first glance, this transport interchange may look like a real nightmare for a novice behind the wheel. In reality, however, Hongchuan is not merely a traffic node, but a landmark architectural object that links several highways at once and keeps vehicles flowing. This grand transport system impresses with its scale. The web of flyovers and ramps covers an area of more than 6 miles. It brings together such important routes as the Chengdu-Chongqing Expressway, the Chongqing Ring Expressway, and a number of other major highways. Its complex multi-layered design helps to decompress traffic flows, reduce congestion, and save drivers' time. Yet engineers cared not only about practicality, the interchange also has an aesthetic dimension. A whole array of architectural elements is on display, and the way the structure is illuminated at night is especially striking. Tourists often come here specifically to take dramatic photos. Although from a distance it may resemble a chaotic web of dozens of roads, in reality, the Hongchuan Interchange has significantly improved Chongqing's traffic situation. Today, it symbolizes the rapid development of Chinese cities and shows how the country invests resources in modern transport networks that make everyday life more convenient and accessible. Paris is a city of lights, love, and endless symbols of grandeur. The Eiffel Tower, the Louvre, Notre Dame, and of course, the Arc de Triomphe, rising in the capital's center. For tourists, it is one of the main attractions. For drivers, a true ordeal. Around the monument stretches a gigantic circle that is more like a ring of chaos. A full dozen avenues converge at a single point, creating a dense, unbroken stream of cars. The main problem is the right-of-way rules. On normal roundabouts, those entering yield. Here it is the opposite. Vehicles entering have priority, while those already in the circle must slow and yield. That logic is not obvious to everyone, so driving becomes even more tense. Add to this the lack of clear lane markings and a huge number of exits leading to different parts of the city. Many drivers admit the only way to manage here is to rely on instinct and a healthy dose of luck. Now imagine all this accompanied by a constant flow of tourists who from time to time decide to dash across the road straight toward the Arc. The result is a veritable symphony of blaring horns, sudden braking, and startled looks. The Arc de Triomphe remains a symbol of Paris, but to motorists that symbol is associated less with grandeur and more with adrenaline. From a bird's-eye view, this interchange looks like giant lace made of bridges, flyovers, and roads. For those behind the wheel, though, the Tom Moreland Interchange in Atlanta is more akin to a waking nightmare. The interchange sits at the intersection of two major highways, Interstate 285 and Interstate 85. Its scale is staggering. The complex covers more than 350 acres, and more than 300,000 cars pass through it daily. Even during hours that are considered off-peak, traffic is boiling. The node's complexity and the immense volumes of traffic turn a trip through it into a stress test for drivers. A mistaken lane choice can be costly, and inexperienced motorists often leave the interchange with hearts pounding as if after a high-octane amusement ride. Yet this giant plays an important role. It connects Atlanta's industrial and commercial districts, including the large Doraville assembly plant, ensuring an uninterrupted flow of goods and transport. From an architectural standpoint, the Tom Moreland Interchange has become a symbol of the city, massive, distinctive, and visually striking. But for those who venture to drive through this transport node, aesthetics quickly recede, because the main goal is to escape the labyrinth with minimal loss of time and nerves. The most difficult road in the world, that is how the legendary Le Manali Highway, which runs through the majestic Himalayas, is often described. And with good reason. This route can test even the most experienced drivers. The road stretches for nearly 480 kilometers and climbs to dizzying elevations, up to 5,300 meters above sea level. It snakes along a series of hairpins through sheer cliffs, narrow gorges, and endless tight turns. Every movement of the steering wheel must be precise. The risks are immense. Now add severe weather, snowfalls, blizzards, abrupt drops in temperature, along with avalanches and landslides. The road is often completely closed, and travelers may end up waiting for hours or even days. The highway passes through remote areas without routine amenities. You must fill up fuel in advance and carry food and water. Yet this very remoteness makes the road special. You encounter ancient monasteries, traditional villages, and views that take your breath away. For engineers, building it was a challenge no smaller than the drive itself. Harsh terrain, rock foundations, lack of oxygen at altitude, and the difficulties of delivering materials stretched the process to nearly 3 decades. In the end, construction took 26 years. Today, Le Manali is more than just a road. It is a symbol of courage, perseverance, and the human drive to conquer the impossible. For adventurers and romantics, it has become a road into a world of discovery. For India, it is one of the most impressive transport arteries cutting through the very heart of the Himalayas. And here we are at the end of our list, from China's gigantic interchanges to Europe's crazy roundabouts, from brightly lit transport hubs in Latin America to the harsh roads of the Himalayas. Each of these routes has its own story. They symbolize not only the progress of engineering, but also the character of the people who, every day, take on the challenge and set out along these incredible paths. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the most complex roads on the planet. See you in new videos.